passing. I've been trying years, sometimes full of tears. There's no better time. We change our minds.
Welcome to another CCT breakdown. This breakdown is an important one. It will cover a majority of day-to-day content for players to enjoy, such as competitive events, PvE events, 24/7 events, mini-games, our significant weekend events, and much more. First, the competitive team-based events. Similar to HCF's automated COT schedule, Cobra will have an automated event schedule. However, this schedule will contain a large variety of competitive events, not just King of the Hills. These events will occur frequently, give rewards, give team points, and should serve as a focus for competitive play on CCT. Before explaining each of these events, please be aware that the details and specifics of each event are subject to change, but the general concept will be what is present in the production version of CCT. So if you have any feedback or suggestions regarding these events, you can feel free to leave it in our Discord and the player feedback channel.
In Capture the Flag, a floating flag will spawn in the highest room of the CTF temple in the overworld war zone. To win this event, a player must capture the flag and kite it all the way back to their claim and get out of combat. While holding the flag, the player receives slowness 2, cannot be teleported with ender pearls or commands, and will also have their location broadcast on the scoreboard. If the player dies or drops the flag will drop on the ground and can be picked up by a teammate, or it can be contested by enemies to reset its location back to the CTF temple. The concept of this event and others reinforces the idea that there are different advantages you will have based on your claim's directional location. Secure the payload. If you are familiar with Overwatch, you will be familiar with this concept. Visit the abandoned railroad in the wasteland to contest this event. A team must control the payload starting position and stay within its radius to move the payload slowly along the railroad to its final destination. If an enemy faction contests the payload by getting in its radius, the payload will stop moving and the factions must try to fight them away in order to keep it moving. If the capturing team abandons the payload, the enemy team can reset the location of the payload back to its spawn point in order to start capturing it themselves. The first team to deliver the payload to its final destination will win the event.
Oddball. Some of you may already be familiar with this event name, and it is a similar concept. In Wasteland Stadium, a ball will spawn in the center when this event starts. The goal of this event is to capture and hold the ball within the Wasteland's war zone as long as possible. While holding the ball, you will have slowness, you cannot ender pearl, you cannot hit other players, you cannot leave the Wasteland's war zone, and your location will be broadcasted on our scoreboard. The longer it is held, the more points are gained for your team. The ball can be dropped and picked up by other players, but once a certain amount of points are reached by a team, the event is finished and the winners are to be announced. Hardpoint. Another familiar name and a familiar concept. This event features randomly rotating capture zones among all regions of CCT, which must be contested for points. Once a certain amount of points are hit by a team, the event concludes.
Control the zone. This event is similar to King of the Hills, except it features a much larger cap zone with no borders in the corner of the stack, and a system of acquiring tickets for holding the zone for a certain amount of time in order to win the event. King of the Hill. This event is pretty self-explanatory, and it will just be the classic Koth style of holding a capture zone for a certain amount of minutes without being knocked in order to win the event. Those are the current competitive team events that we have in store for CCT's release. We are motivated to add more unique team-based events in the near future, so if you have any suggestions, ideas, or feedback, feel free to let us know in our Discord. Next, the PvE events, also known as player versus environment. We have dungeons, warzone bosses, hacker eggs, and the temple run for CCT's release.
Dungeons may be familiar to most. This is a system where you can join a dungeon with any players on the server in order to complete puzzles, defeat bosses, and gain rewards. Specifics on our first dungeon will be revealed closer to our release. Warzone bosses. CCT will have scheduled Warzone boss spawns that greatly affect the competitive aspect of the game mode. As of now, every 3 hours, a random Warzone boss will spawn. These bosses are the Ocean Elemental, the Infernal Elemental, the Mountain Elemental, the Cloud Elemental, and the Elder Dragon, which spawns at a given time every single day. Based on the boss that spawns, the team that gets the final hit on the boss will receive the benefits of that boss for 1 hour. For example, if your team slays the Ocean Elemental, you will receive +2 hearts and permanent regeneration 1 for a total of 1 hour. The Infernal Elemental will give strength 1 and more durability damage for 1 hour. The Mountain Elemental will give resistance 1 and reduced incoming durability damage for 1 hour. The Cloud Elemental will give speed 3 for 1 hour. And lastly, the Elder Dragon will give all of these effects for a total of 1 hour. On top of the last hit team rewards, the top 3 damagers will be rewarded with in-game loot bag rewards. If you are familiar with League of Legends' Dragon system, this is very similar to that. This system will serve as a critical role in competitive play on CCT.
Hacker eggs. CCT also has player spawnable bosses that can be killed for rewards inside of the warzone, known as hacker eggs. Unlike typical mob bosses, hacker eggs are themed NPCs with special abilities that can be killed for special rewards. On release, the Sorcerer Supreme, the Juggernaut, the Ranger, the Steelman, and the Hulk will all be available to be slain for rewards. Temple Run. Similar to Dungeons, the Temple Run is a custom-made event event with parkour, puzzles, and boss fights, but it can only be completed by yourself. To enter the temple run, take your key to the temple in the overworld warzone to test your skills. There will be additional challenges and milestones that you can complete for extra rewards.
Cavern. Cavern fits into the PvE niche as it's purely about gathering ores in special places in the warzone or end city. This area will allow for custom enchant pickaxes to thrive and make money. However, you will be in a PvP area, so you have a sense of risk being here. For 24/7 events that can be utilized by teams or solos, we have a few. Envoys will take place in our overworld warzone, allowing any user to gather good loot by opening chests that spawn randomly. The bunker and dragon den in the wasteland and end city also provide a similar aspect, providing regenerating loot for players.
The Dark Fortress is an outpost-like event that is guarded by hacker bots. To capture the Dark Fortress, the core of the fortress must be broken 500 times. Players may slay the hacker bots to gain respect inside of the claim, which stops the hacker bots from being aggressive. While in control of the fortress, the faction will receive passive rewards such as a higher cell multiplier, ancient white scroll negation, extra team shard success rate, no coin flip tax, and gain passive team points every few minutes. CCT will also have a variety of instanced minigames, allowing all sorts of players to compete and earn rewards. CCT will have Battle Royale, Sumo, FFA, One in the Quiver, Survival Games, Block Sumo, Spleef, Bed Wars, and TNT Tag on release. Finally, the significant one-time events. On HCF, there was Citadel and Conquest, but CCT has taken a brand new approach to this.
First, the end event. The day after start of the map, the end will open in the middle of the day. There will be a unique leaderboard-based event as soon as the end opens. Earn points by capturing the end crystals in the central towers of the city. Earn points by capturing zones in the corners of the central island, and earn points by completing a parkour course. After this concludes, the Ender Dragon will spawn and can be slain for the Ender Dragon egg. The winner of the end event will be given their own private end portal, the only one on the map. Soon after, the event schedule will enable. On the first Saturday of the map, the multiverse event takes place. 3 different capture zones will be active, one in the overworld, one in the wasteland, and one in the end city. To gain points for this event, your team must be on each capture zone at the exact same time. First team to get to a certain amount of points wins the event. There will also be a variety of other factors to spice up this event that are not revealed yet, so stay tuned.
The next day, the Ferocity event takes place. Similar to the multiverse event, to gain points in the Ferocity event, your faction needs to complete a few tasks. 1, your faction needs to be on top of a specific capture zone for at least 15 seconds without being knocked. 2, your faction needs to accumulate 15 seconds of control on a CTZ capture zone. And 3, your faction needs to mine a Destroy the Core 3 times. Every time these set of tasks are completed, your faction will be rewarded with a point. These tasks do not need to be completed simultaneously, but they all need to be completed before 1 point is rewarded. The next weekend, private competitive events are hosted, starting with the Bunkers Tournament. Automatically qualified factions such as the winners of the Multiverse and Ferocity event will be given a spot, and then other factions can sign up. Priority for a spot in the event is given based on team top points. Winners will be given team points as well as in-game rewards. The next day, a team PvP tournament is hosted. We are prepared to host both bring your own gear tournaments as well as pre-made kit tournaments, allowing all teams to play. There will be no risk in participating in this tournament, and it is strictly to reward the winners with team points and in-game rewards. We just went over a ton of content from CCT. We hope you guys are looking forward to competing in these events, and we're excited to continue developing, tweaking, and adding more events for all to enjoy.
We hope you all enjoyed this deep dive into what events will look like on Cobra Custom Teams. As we get closer to the launch of our beta map, it's important that you stay up to date with everything Cobra. Join our Discord at discord.gg/Cobra and check out all of our other social media platforms at cobra.gg/social.
I know you tired of niggas, girl.